Hello, my name is Tony. Hollywood and the movie industry loves to fuck the glorious spawn of its glittery loins until the cash cow becomes rapidly impregnated and in a few months blasts out its bastard offspring like machine gun bullets for the rubberneckers to gawk at in the movie theatre freak shows. The Exorcist, a classic textbook exercise in horror movie making that has rarely been equalled for sheer balls out visceral content, style and atmosphere, and possibly never quite surpassed either, gave rise to a litter of physically and mentally disabled children with erratic capabilities when it came to delivering satisfactory entertainment. Their tits, ass and tap dancing often wasn't quite up to it. In other words, the bleeding obvious I'm stating is Hollywood, and indeed independent and foreign filmmakers, like to jump bandwagons, especially when there's a current trend hitched to them that has grabbed the public imagination by the short hairs. After The Exorcist, bagging a slice of that cool satanic action became an aspiration for many a studio, producer, writer, director, which resulted in a deluge of devil and possession-flavoured lesser movies bollocked out with careless abandon. Post The Exorcist, we got The Devil's Reign with Ernie Borgnine and Bill Shatner, To the Devil a Daughter, Hammer's last commercial movie before they folded, The Devil Within Her, Joan Collins giving birth to the Devil's Baby, sounds about right, Satan's Blood, Satan's Cheerleaders, The Omen, The Devil's Kiss, Satan's School for Girls, 7 Women for Satan, Satan's Witch Child, The Sentinel, Enter the Devil, Satan's Slave, The Antichrist, Naked Exorcism, Satan's Children, A Candle for the Devil, Holocaust 2000, Exorcist II The Heretic, possibly the worst mainstream movie ever made, and many, many more. In 1975, support actor and exploitation movie director Jack Starrett, who gave us the blaxploitation classic Slaughter and Cleopatra Jones, threw his hat in the ring with Race with the Devil. And as it turns out, it's a ripping example of genre cinema, a cost-effective action horror road movie, and a recipient of some affection from my market hall movie-going days. Race with the Devil combines elements and themes from different genres that make it stand out as a singular piece of work. It's a cross-fertilisation of action, satanic horror, car chase and road movie tropes. What you've got in the end is something that's pacey, thrilling and narratively absurd, but actually quite unique. And Starrett holds it all together with a tight and workmanlike grip via his no-nonsense and minimalist style of directing. Sure, it's a bandwagon jumper with multiple bandwagons to jump, but one that works in its own knowingly preposterous way. The casting functions very much in its favour. 2 male leads being Warren Oates and Peter Fonda. Fonda, son of Henry, brother of Jane, was a premier countercultural icon, a status bestowed by his involvement in Easy Rider. Easy Rider was a meditative road movie that explored the hippie dream with stark and dark honesty. 2 drug-dealing bikers hit the road on their Harleys in search of America. Instead, they find Jack Nicholson and some rednecks to shotgun their faces off, which is pretty much the same thing. In Race with the Devil, 2 sanitized corporate versions of the Easy Rider bikers, along with their wives and a small dog, hit the road in an RV with motorcycles on the back in search of America. Instead, they find an unfeasibly widespread cult of murderous Texas Satanists out to burn their asses, which is pretty much the same thing. Roger, Fonda and Frank Oates are friends and partners in a San Antonio motorcycle dealership. Along with their wives Alice Loretta Swit and Kelly Lara Parker, they're off in their RV to Aspen, Colorado for a skiing vacation. Setting up camp for the night near a river, the women retire and the 2 men sit outside drinking beer. Across the river they see lights and upon investigating, witness a bunch of Satanists sacrificing a naked girl, not something you see every day. Unfortunately, the devil worshippers catch sight of them seeing what they've seen and pandemonium breaks out. And that is pretty much the setup right there. The men and their wives involve the local police, but on investigation there is no evidence of any wrongdoing, certainly nothing to suggest ritual murder. As the 2 couples make their way across country, the dog meets a sticky end and gets strung up. Rattlesnakes are planted in their RV and they're intimidated and pursued by an unfeasibly large contingent of the populace who all seem to be members of the cult. In fact, everyone they encounter behaves suspiciously in some way, so there's no one they can trust, the only option being to run for it and fight back to save their lives. Loud, frantic, nutty as a fruitcake, but immense fun, with a laughable but faintly creepy vibe. There is much to enjoy in this trashy little road trip on the highway to hell. First, Starrett and scriptwriters Lee Frost and Wes Bishop omit the supernatural in favour of real-world threats. Vehicles, shotguns, high-speed chases and physical violence are the weapons of choice, rather than satanic superpowers or omen-like orchestrated deaths by the hand of evil unseen forces. These Satanists want to force you off the road or shoot you in the face. Frost and Bishop had a Grindhouse history, with films like Chain Gang Women, The Thing with Two Heads and Black Gestapo, so they know how to cook this sort of cake. And fair enough, although there's not much logic baked in, they move things along quickly, so time to think is mercifully short. It's only later when you'll start to go, now wait just a doggone minute. The principal characters are portrayed by more upmarket performers than you'd usually expect in this sort of farrago. Fonda and Oates come over like the duo from Easy Rider had survived that movie and settled for the roles of middle-class businessmen with middle-class values selling Harleys for a living. Loretta Swit, famous at the time for her role in the popular TV series MASH, and the super-hot Lara Parker, late of Dark Shadows, make attractive and capable propositions as their wives. But it's in the high-speed action and nervous energy stakes that the film really excels. Chased along winding desert highways by shotgun-toting satanic rednecks in trucks provides plenty of thrills and spills. It's like a modern-day iteration of Stagecoach, with an RV in place of the coach and the Satanists standing in for them pesky Indians. There are moments of black comedy, for instance when Fonda distracts an attacker on the roof of the speeding RV and he straightens up just before the vehicle and this provides some pleasingly sadistic slapstick gratification. I cheered anyway, internally. How do you spot who's a Satanist in Race with the Devil? Easy. They stare at you threateningly. At an RV park, when Lara Parker goes for a swim, other residents unblinkingly stare at her. Satanists! The ones that don't stare threateningly, they're not so easy to spot, like the sheriff and the couple who invite our hapless vacationers to dinner. But they're all Satanists. Every man jack of them. Everyone's a Satanist, you hear me? Everyone! In typical 70s fashion, it ends on a not very promising note for our protagonists, but this is only to be expected, yeah? After The Exorcist gave us an outcome that reaffirmed the power of Christian good ultimately prevailing, most of what followed took an alternative path. Race with the Devil benefits from production values that are not at the bottom of a coal shaft. Competent direction, an inoffensively batshit narrative, decent location camera work by Robert Jessup, and some fast-paced and effectively choreographed action. The score by Leonard Rosenman is generic, though pleasingly evocative, and does its job well enough. I really like it. What it is at heart is a chase thriller, bandwagon jumping the craze for devil movies and combining the two genres with no obvious need for reliance on the supernatural to make it work. It moves fast enough so that its ludicrous widespread satanic cult conspiracy hook and the plot holes big enough to drive an RV through are not immediately detrimental in fueling annoyance. It almost switches your brain off for you. There's been talk of a remake back in 2005, but fuck knows what that would have looked like. It didn't happen, and there's really no need. For once, it would be nice if Hollywood could leave my fond teenage memories well alone. They don't need to rape everything they see for a buck. Thanks for your time and attention. Thank you for your continued support. Whether I need to say it or not, I will regardless. It is appreciated. Thank you, pilgrims.